My name is Jackie McLaughlin, and I'm the director for the pre-health programs at the University of Pennsylvania. And I want to welcome you to a virtual information session about the core program and the specialized program in the College of Liberal and Professional Studies at Penn. We are joined this evening by Faye McCoy, who is our program coordinator. And Faye is a very important person in helping to triage and answer, people's questions and get them pointed in the right direction. And we also have Amy Mulhern with us this evening. Amy Mulhern is an enrollment specialist, and she's really key in helping, to answer those preliminary prospective student questions, about our program or other programs at Penn, as a matter of fact. So I'm glad you were able to join us this evening. I think that I'm probably going to have a little whistle go off at 6 o'clock because it's been a long day today. Today was the first day of classes for the spring semester. So it's always exciting, and it's great to, get started back with a new semester. We were really excited this semester because we were actually back on campus for the fall. And then because of high incidence of COVID, as we have all around, just for the first couple of weeks now until January 24th, classes are now online, and we fully expect to be back face-to-face on campus with normal operations after that. So fingers crossed that that's the way this semester is going to go. But anyway, welcome to all of you. We're here to give you an opportunity to ask your questions. So I want to let you know that there's a Q&A. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see there's a Q&A section. You can begin putting your questions in there, and either Faye or Amy will answer those questions, or after I finish talking a little bit about the individual programs, I'll go to the questions and start to answer them, out loud for you. If you forget about the Q&A and you end up putting your question in the chat, we're going to monitor the chat as well and respond to your questions in there too. Faye will put some key information into the chat for you. She will put the link to our website in there. I often refer to, the website during a virtual information session because I like to know that you've taken an opportunity to comb through the website. There's a wealth of information there for you. And that helps to, that if you don't understand something that's on the website, by all means, reach out to us and ask us to help to clarify that. In addition to putting in information about the website, Faye can plug in some key dates there on application. So right now, the students that we admitted in spring, it's always a small number of students in the spring, and they're all typically specialized in the specialized program. So we had new students starting today. The next time that we admit students, the next period of time would be for summer. So applications are being accepted now for summer and for fall. For specialized students and for core students, you can come in and you can start in the summer or the fall. So I'll get into, some more details about that as well. So, alrighty, let me take a peek over here at my website just so that I can keep track of where I am. At the University of Pennsylvania in LPS, we have two post-baccalaureate programs designed to prepare you for moving in a direction, an application to a professional school in the health professions. So the core program is a preparatory program for people who do not have a science background. So core applicants, all applicants to our programs have to have earned at least a bachelor's degree. That's why it's called a post-baccalaureate program. And so we need evidence of that you've received your bachelor's degree at least. Many of our students have advanced degrees. So some of our students have master's degrees, some have law degrees. We've even had students go through the program with PhDs. So, you know, people come, you know, make decisions about career changes at various points along their career. So the core program is for the student who, as an undergrad, did not have the standard prerequisite courses that are typically required for medical school or veterinary school or dental school. So those are the three primary fields that our curriculum targets. Students who are looking to enter into medicine, dental medicine, or veterinary medicine. We do occasionally get some students who are interested in advanced practice nursing or physical therapy, but very few. And oftentimes there's someone who might enter into the program and then change during a process of discernment, say, you know what, I think maybe this isn't the right path for me. I'd really like to do this instead. And then if you're in the program, we will support you with getting the prerequisites that you need and the application that you need to go in that direction. Okay. So I hope that was clear. So the majority of students in our programs, in both the core program and the specialized program, are pre-med. Every year we have a handful of pre-vets and we have a handful of pre-dentals. So I think one of our incoming students this spring was a pre-vet student. We are in the process of redoing our academic success page on the website. So I hope that by the end of the month, I'll have that done, because I wanted to go back and look at a 10-year picture and show you not only where the students are going, but you know what the success rate is for the students who are applying in medicine, who are applying in dental medicine, who are applying in veterinary medicine, and also knowing, you know, the schools that they were offered admission to. So you can look for that towards the end of the month, the beginning of February. The core program tends to be a little bit larger than the specialized program. The core program is a total of 12 CUs. So the standard core curriculum would be 2 courses in introductory general chemistry. So chemistry 101 and 102. It would be introductory physics. So physics 101 and physics 102. Biology 101 and 102. And organic chemistry, which for us right now is chemistry 241 and chemistry 242, and then a full CU of laboratory course for organic chemistry. All those other courses also have labs associated with them. So that totals up to 12 CUs, and that's the requirement for the core program. However, most students in the core program take more than that, because if you're interested in dentistry, in veterinary medicine, or in allopathic or osteopathic medicine, you also need a background in biochemistry. So the admissions test for the MCAT, 25% of that test requires knowledge of biochemistry. So most students will take a 13th CU in biochemistry. And many students will take more. So a veterinary student might need to have physiology and microbiology. Dental students often are expected to have microbiology as well, and oftentimes physiology, maybe even genetics. So depending on what schools you're applying to. So it's really important that you work with your advisor to figure out what your prerequisites are, taking a look at your basic, you know, undergraduate academic background and understanding what you need to do in the program. Sometimes a student may have had an introductory bio course Sometimes we might expect a student to, well, if that's been 4 years or 5 years, you might want to repeat that bio course before you go into the second half of bio here, because the curriculum, even our curriculum in biology, has changed over the past 5 years. So you want to really have a clear understanding of that. So if you happen to be invited for an interview after you submit your application, take the time to really ask questions of your admissions interviewer to understand what the coursework might look like if you were admitted, and what does that timeline look like. Okay, so that's really a good opportunity for you to get a very individualized conversation about that will match your academic background. Most students who come into the core program take advantage of the fact that we allow students to complete the program requirements on a 2-year timeline. So whether you want to take, as many courses as you can and get through as fast as you can, that usually, isn't always the best solution for people. But most students do take advantage of the fact that they can take those 13, 14, 15 credits over a course units over a 2-year timeline and distribute those credits in a way that is a little bit more manageable in terms of studying, and also may even give them an opportunity to begin to build and work on their experiences. Because having, good experiences that demonstrate that you have competencies for medicine is really an important part of building a strong application. So we help you with that process as well. There are, however, some students who are really qualified and eligible to do the core program in a more accelerated way. So that might be a 1-year timeline. Anybody who's considering a 1-year timeline would have to apply for the summer, because you have to start the core program in the summer with general chemistry, and then be able to get through the program to complete it in summer, fall, and a spring semester. It is possible to do, but generally I need to approve that. And it's based on your academic performance in your undergraduate program, and of course your performance on standardized tests as well. You have to demonstrate that you have a strong math background and are able to jump right into chemistry and be able to handle the math, the same with physics, without needing to take things at a little bit slower pace. So important to understand that for the core program and for the specialized program, these courses are offered in the evening. So the courses that we offer in LPS are equivalent to the same courses with the same course numbers that are offered during the day. They are approved by the department, they're vetted by the department. And everyone who teaches in these courses is vetted and approved by the departments. They're offered in the evening, and your peers in those courses are other students in the pre-health program. Occasionally, there might be a course that has some undergrads in it because of scheduling issues, but for the most part, your courses are designed to be with your pre-health peers, okay? Again, there are some exceptions to that, but basically the rule is that you're in with your peers. It's a great opportunity for you to network and build a support network, study partners, and so forth with people who have similar goals and aspirations as you. It's just such a better opportunity than being thrown into classes with regular undergrads for you, because your life situation is different. as an older non-traditional student. The other thing that is key to understand is that we have a large team of advisors. So for the pre-health advising office, we have 6 advisors, and we also have Faye, who's a coordinator, who helps with answering a lot of basic questions. You are assigned to a team of advisors, usually 4 out of the 6, but you can go to any one. We have an open advising system so that you're not assigned to just one advisor and that's the only person that you can go to. You can go to all of the advisors. And in fact, we recommend that you do that. We had a new student orientation today. And one of the things I always stress is that we ask you to make an appointment and meet with every member of your advising team in your first semester. And then I recommend that students have at least 2 advising appointments each semester after that, touch bases. It's really important to get to know the advising team. It's through building that communication with the advising team that you're really going to benefit from the expertise that we have here and what we have to offer and help to guide you through this process. That's all I'm going to say about the core program right now. And let me talk a little bit about the specialized program. So the specialized program is also a preparatory program, but it differs from the core in that the students who are applying to the specialized program have a science background. So these students may not have achieved the GPA that they wanted while they were an undergraduate student because perhaps they were working full-time while they were in school, or perhaps they were a Division I athlete, and that's almost like working full-time when you're an undergraduate, or they had a double major and just didn't achieve the GPA that they wanted to because they were kind of overloaded at the time. So there are a variety of reasons why someone applies to the specialized program. The specialized program is considered an academic enhancer program, but many of the students in the specialized program come in with very strong GPAs. So they might want to do advanced coursework, bring up their GPA a little bit, but also use it as an opportunity for them to strengthen their research at this institution or get more experience in different areas. So the specialized program, many of the students in the specialized program actually end up working in research at the university, which is a great benefit for them because they oftentimes can get tuition support from the university as part of their tuition benefits in the program. So that becomes, a really good deal for them. So the specialized program, to complete that, is required to finish 8 courses in advanced sciences. So we have a wide array of advanced sciences in biology and in neuroscience as well. We also have an array of courses that have been developed by the Perlman School of Medicine in anatomy. And that anatomy combines some physiology as well. So we allow students in the pre-health programs to take 1 CU worth of anatomy courses as part to meet their program requirements, either for the core or for the specialized program. But you can take more than that. So even though only 1 CU would count towards meeting your program requirements or committee letter requirements, if you really liked the anatomy courses and you wanted to take additional anatomy courses, or after you finish the program, you want to take more in your glide year, you're certainly welcome to do that. So, they are asynchronous courses, but they're really flexible in that they are taught and designed to be taught completely online. So it gives you a lot of flexibility around, fitting that in to other obligations that you have in your schedule. So just like the core courses, the specialized courses are taught in the evening. Predominantly the people in your classes are going to be your pre-health peers. It's a great opportunity to be studying with like-minded people. We have, in addition to that, we have a variety of enriching opportunities and experiences for students. We have a student organization, it's called the Post-Bac Society, and they do a lot of social events. And in fact, I think they're going to be organizing tours, campus tours for the spring. But they do a lot of events, sort of, building up the community, which is really hard, when we were needing to be virtual during the height of COVID. So hopefully we'll be able to have some really nice gatherings once again in the spring. We're all looking forward to that. Every student in either program, under the pre-health umbrella is a member of the Post-Bac Society. So there are opportunities for you to get involved and engaged with them. In addition to that, we have a variety of special interest groups. So we have a UPenn AMWA, which is a chapter of the American Women in Medicine. And they're a very active group that has speakers and a book club and does a variety of events together. We have a very active affecting social justice in medicine group. They have actually a new student-led course that's going to be launched this spring that will be free and online. It's 5 hours. Looking at health disparities. And so if you haven't had much exposure to that, it might be a really fun thing for you, to take advantage of if you're here as a student. In addition to that, we have a new, and the student interest groups change as the student body changes and their interests change over time. But we have a new group that will be starting this spring that will be focusing on issues and aspects of situations for folks who are underrepresented in medicine. So that should be really interesting. We'll be meeting next week to kind of plan an agenda for the spring and the fall. We also have a partnership with Kaplan and Kaplan Live Online. So we have a dedicated class for our students. The first time that we're running that is this January. And we're going to see how that works. The plan is to offer one class in January and one in the fall. So, if you were entering the program in the fall and planning to take your MCAT in the spring, that would be the time for you to sign up, for this class if you were interested in Kaplan. So they provide a significant discount to the students for participating in that program. I'm not sure what I've missed. I've been doing a lot of talking today, so maybe I'll take a few minutes now to take a look at your questions and see what's in the Q&A. And okay, here we go. Here's one question. Ogbanaya wants to know, do you see an average GPA or science GPA for admitted students in the specialized program, or a minimum GPA? Okay, that's a good question. Oh, wait, was that Aaron's question? Yeah, okay, all right, maybe I missed a question there somewhere. Something jumped around here. Okay, so Aaron, the average GPA for people who come in the specialized program is, I think it's somewhere around a 3.2. Science GPA is most often lower than that. So might be around a 3.0. Minimum GPA, we typically look for at least a 3.0. That doesn't mean that there aren't students who get admitted who have less than a 3.0 GPA. But there has to be a reason, Aaron, why the GPA is that low. And we want to understand that as part of your application. So, if you were sick as an undergraduate and that impacted, your academic performance, or, whatever the particular issue is, please let us know that as part of your application. And if you're invited to an interview, have that discussion with your interviewer, because we want to understand why you struggled with these courses and what's different now. What is different now that would enable you to demonstrate that you're in a better situation to do these science courses now. So that's the kind of conversation that you want to have with someone who's doing your admissions interview. Just to let you know that the admissions interviewers are all advisors in the program. Okay, somehow my questions jumped down. So let me go back to this question that was up here at the top. When filling out the application, say if we haven't filled in our prerequisites because we're in the process of taking them at the moment, should we wait to turn in the application or turn it in as is? You want to submit your application with what you have completed, with what's on your transcript. When you send in your transcript, if you're in the process of taking prerequisite courses now, they will show up on your transcript even though you haven't completed them yet. So you certainly that's important information that we derive from your transcript, okay? So yeah, you don't have to wait until you complete prerequisite courses to come in. And in fact, prerequisite courses are what you're coming to Penn to do. So yeah, I'm not sure if maybe you want to send a follow-up question to me to sort of clarify that. All right. Michaela has a question about how do you specifically support students who are not pre-med who decide to pursue another health-related field during the program. So if you come in and you came in the door and were really convinced at the time that you came in the door that medicine was the right pathway, and then after being in the program for a while, you reconsidered that and wanted to go in another direction. We've had this happen with some students who've decided that they wanted to do nursing. So what it means is that there are then different courses that you need and different prerequisites that you need to fulfill. So the student, that's all done through advising. So, if a student says, I've really changed my mind, the direction I want to go in is this or that, we'll help you to find the correct prerequisites that you need for that pathway. For some students who've done that in the past, it was, not necessarily even a medically related field, but there was a student who wanted to go back into, government policy work in a PhD program. So, trying to help facilitate that student, to finish the semester, finish where they were, support them with, fulfilling and pursuing their application for the PhD program and writing letters of recommendation and so forth and so on to get them, on the right track. So just because you make a change, you change your mind, doesn't mean that we're not still going to continue to support a student. So, we're very much committed to that, to helping you find the direction that's appropriate for you. Hi, Mackenzie. We're happy to be here. Would the program be helpful if you were interested in becoming a physician assistant? We've had students who've applied for physician assistant programs. Again, some of the prerequisites for physician assistant programs are a little different from our standard curriculum. That doesn't mean that you can't obtain those courses at University of Pennsylvania. You can, but most physician assistant programs want to see courses in anatomy and physiology. That's anatomy and physiology combined. And they typically have, a variety of clinical applications in there as well. Perelman School of Medicine is looking into adding more physiology into our anatomy courses to see if maybe they would fulfill those kind of course requirements and be equivalent for that. The nursing school offers anatomy and physiology. So we have had students who wanted to pursue PA curriculum, and they've taken their anatomy and physiology in the School of Nursing, but there is a different tuition price point for that. So that's an important conversation to have. So I think, knowing, I think I want this, but I want, maybe I want that. It's really good to make sure that you develop early on a good relationship with an advisor who can help you with that process of discernment, with really trying to figure out exactly what it is so that you know specifically what coursework you need to be taking, okay? But, it would be very few students that we have who follow that direction. As I said, the majority of our students are looking for medicine or veterinary medicine or dental medicine. For students who've taken the core science classes during undergrad but did not perform strongly, do you recommend for those students to take core or specialize to ensure they have a strong foundation in the sciences? That's a really good question. Because, I think probably the best thing to do in that situation, if you've taken all of those core science classes already but didn't perform well, would be to apply to the specialized program. We specifically look at how you did in those courses. So if, for example, you didn't do well in your biochemistry class or in one of your organic chemistry classes, and it looks like that's something you should repeat, we would have that conversation with you about that. It's also very important if you come into an academic enhancer program that you're not coming here to repeat courses, but you're coming to move forward and advance your learning. So, it really takes a careful assessment of your academic history and having a conversation with us about what would be the best recommended course of action for you. Okay, sometimes there are some students who might be a better fit, maybe because of how many undergraduate science courses they've had. They might want to try to focus on a master's degree post-baccalaureate program rather than a program like ours, which is undergraduate courses. So our program is wonderful for the student who, when they take 8 advanced science courses and that goes into their undergraduate GPA, can raise their undergraduate GPA. But for someone whose GPA is quite low and they've taken a lot of courses, it's kind of hard to move that GPA. So, it really depends. A lot of these decisions are very situation specific. But we do a careful holistic review of all of our applicants to see if this program looks like a good fit for the student and if we can really help them to achieve their goals. Hi, Hope, how are you? What is the average or median GPA of students coming into the core program? I have to stop and think about it because the average GPA of the core students right now when they're in the program is about a 3.6. So the average GPA of the students who are coming into the program is probably around, I would say around between a 3.4 and a 3.6 right now. That's average, okay? We have students who are 4.0s, higher than that. Again, we have students with advanced degrees, coming in, but that's typically where it is. The core program and the specialized program, both are very competitive programs. The courses here at Penn are very rigorous, and it's very fast paced, and very challenging for that reason. So you have to be, ready for that when you come in the door. So even though they're very different, I mean, the students here are very dedicated students, and so they do well. The students do extremely well in the program academically, which is very nice to see. The acceptance rate for the specialized program is it's between 30 and 40%, depending on the year that I'm looking at. So we'll just land on this year. I didn't look at my figures for last year. We'll land on around 35%. Okay. Does the GPA include math courses? Not typically, but we do look at math courses. So if you're applying to the Corps and you haven't had math courses, we sometimes will recommend that a person defer admission to the program and take math courses and demonstrate that, you have the math skills to do the physics and the chemistry. Your math is really important. So if your math is weak and you've scored poorly, done poorly in your math courses, that's going to be problematic, particularly in the core. Not so much in the specialized, because the specialized courses are mostly advanced bio courses where you need some math, but they're not as math intensive as the physics and the chemistry courses. Okay. Can students in the specialized program retake core prerequisites like organic chemistry, for instance? You can. We don't, but depending on where you did. So if you got a B-, we might not recommend that you retake organic chemistry with a B-. If you have a C-, we might recommend that you retake it. So I think it depends on that course. Would you retake all of your core courses? No, absolutely not. The program isn't designed for that. So if it's a 1 here and a 1 there, maybe, your first semester of physics or something like that. Because the reason to retake something is if it's a C- or below, most medical schools won't accept those grades. So, but the program is not designed for you to come in and retake all of your core. We don't do that. Okay. I hope that answers that question clearly. How much detail should we go into for 150 words regarding an explanation for the blemishes owner? As much detail as you need to. So you want us to be able to understand. 150 words isn't a whole lot, but you want us to be able to understand what happened. Okay, just tell us what happened. Why your academic record, why you struggled, why you had a problem. If it's something extremely confidential, you don't have to reveal that, but you certainly would want to explain the situation. You might want to, if you get an interview, explain it maybe verbally in a little bit more detail, added to that, because that's something we certainly would look at in an interview situation. But, you certainly don't want to give so much detail that you're uncomfortable with it. So, but, if you didn't do well, let us know why. It's important for us. That's an important part of us getting to know you as a student. Okay. How do you help students get involved with volunteer activities or shadowing while in the program? And is it possible to manage your time so that you can do these things? Well, we do a lot of advising, Erin, with students about time management. We have a learning center here at Penn, the Weingarten Learning Center. We refer students there they do a lot of work with students on time management. Very important. So sometimes for students who didn't do well in undergrad, that was an issue. Time management was an issue. Yes, and we also want students not to overload themselves. So what are your goals? I mean, that is a really important part of the process. So if you're offered admission, every student comes in and does the first advising. In the admissions committee, we talk about what would be a good plan and what would be good courses and what would be good goals. Some students, want to come in. We ask you what you're thinking timeline. Some want to go really fast and maybe they have a weak academic history, and we might recommend that you do it a little bit slower pace to see how to adjust to the rigor, see how much you can handle, and then you can always add more on. Yeah, so those are the kinds of discussions that we have with students. In terms of getting involved with volunteer activities, I mentioned that we have a lot of student interest groups. Those are great ways for you to sort of network with your peers. Getting involved basically with the student organizations and the other opportunities, coming to meetings, coming to speaker series, those kinds of things is a great way to start to get connected. And once you start to get connected and networking within the student body, you can find opportunities that way. Hi, Tiffany. Can you discuss medical school linkage opportunities for core studies and specialized students? So we have a web page on our website where you can go to look at where are the schools that we have articulation agreements with. We have a couple of allopathic institutions that we have linkages with, and we also have a linkage program with Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Some of the linkages are for core students only, and some are for core and specialized. So each one of the linkage partners that we have establishes what criteria they are looking for with the students coming into the program. And our program also has additional criteria that we have for students. We don't want to see any W's on your transcript, things like that. The linkage partners usually have specific dates when they want to see you take your MCAT, or it might be a linkage that doesn't require you to take the MCAT. So they're all a little bit different. Our next linkage workshop will be offered in the summer. So any student who's currently in the program can come and learn about the linkages. This is great for the new incoming students in January. There's also another, any students coming in the summer will be able to jump in on that. So we do have linkage workshop every semester in the program, so that you can learn more about whether or not it's a good fit. And that's what it needs to be for you, because it can be, sometimes the timeline can be very challenging, and the bar is pretty high for some of them. So you want to make sure that that it's the program, the right program for you. Okay. Tiffany, I think you have another question here. If a student has taken some of the science prereqs already, and they could make up upper level science courses to reach the 12 to 13, is there a minimum grade requirement for the undergrad courses to count? That what you're describing would be what we refer to as a blended student. So somebody who's taking some of the science prerequisites. We usually look at it, Tiffany, to see, is it 50%? So where does, if they've taken more than 50% of the core requirements, we typically would recommend that they apply to the specialized program. If it's fewer, half or fewer, we typically recommend you're in the core. So, but is there a minimum grade requirement for the undergraduate courses to count your undergraduate? If I understand your question correctly, your undergraduate courses that you took at another institution or even at Penn don't transfer in to count for those CUs. So what it would be if you had 6 more prerequisites to take, you take those, and then the remaining amount of the CUs that you needed to fulfill that 12 CU requirement for the core program would be made up with advanced courses. So we don't transfer in credits from another institution. So there is no minimum grade requirement for undergraduate courses to count towards core courses. I hope that answered your question. Hi, Hope. Did you just say that a student cannot have a W on their transcript? You cannot have a W on your Penn transcript if you're applying for a linkage. That's correct. Mm-hmm. So unless there's a special, circumstance. So, we'll always look at that, but that's one of the criteria that we look for. Not to enter the pre-health program. No. This was specifically related to a linkage question. Okay. Hi, Elaine. Do we have opportunity to set up a meeting with me or an advisor to further discuss? Absolutely. You can definitely do that. Faye and Amy might put their emails into the chat, and you can reach out and schedule an appointment to speak to either Amy or Faye. If you wanted to speak to me or to another advisor in the program for pre-advising, we can oftentimes schedule that as well. I know my schedule gets pretty busy in the spring, so they're not easy to come by, but we certainly have a lot of resources who are willing to talk to you and get your questions answered. Elaine, there I see that Faye has put her email address in there. She'll help you, and Amy's is in there too. So they'll help you get to somebody to get your questions answered. Okay. So right now that looks like that's it for everything that's in the Q&A. So thank you everybody very much. I hope you got your questions answered. Be sure to follow up with Faye and Amy, and they will help to connect you with whatever resources you're out about. And it was really a pleasure for you to join us this evening, and we'll just wait for a few more minutes to see if there are any other questions. All right.